Cosplay, or costume play, is the art of creating and wearing costumes for media you're interested in. Books, movies, anime, video games, whatever you can think of. And this concept started in Japan with an issue of My Anime magazine in June of 1983. This term brought the hobby to the forefront of culture in Japan and the US, and it has spread across the world ever since. It is now a common aspect of conventions in the United States, allowing cosplayers to show off their work while also connecting with people who share the same skills, interests, and hobbies as them. Cosplay is predominantly spread through online communities who create their own ways of viewing and creating cosplay. These different online spaces often lend themselves to different values and ways of functioning within the greater subculture, with each platform lending itself to different facets of the community. For me, YouTube was where I first discovered cosplay in middle school. It is a place for people to share short videos in cosplay, music videos, vlogs, or even tutorials on how to make certain costumes or style wigs. This led to me creating my very first cosplay of Marinette from Miraculous Ladybug, which was a highly represented fandom on YouTube within the cosplay community. This evolved to other platforms like TikTok and Instagram. Instagram is a great way to share detailed pictures of costumes, showing off the intricacies and craftsmanship that goes into the cosplay itself. While on TikTok, people are able to share shorter videos, either in character or lip syncing or just dancing along while showing off their cosplays. And it's also a great way for people to connect because they can duet each other's videos, and that's a way to meet each other that you wouldn't really get on YouTube given the long form video content space. So for the sake of this analysis, I will be focusing on the in-person cosplay community found in conventions and a little bit on the online community on TikTok and Instagram. This section of the cosplay community greatly values creativity, rewarding those who create their own costume pieces or come up with innovative ways to create, especially on a budget. The adaptability and reuse of materials is celebrated, and methods have been created, fine-tuned, and shared with others over time. For myself, I learned how to make foam look like different metals through armor pieces and bigger pieces like my proton pack. The cosplay community values an open sharing of knowledge, where people are rewarded for sharing what they know while being able to learn from others and seek out for help when needed. With this, innovation is rewarded as it allows cosplay to be accessible for everyone, regardless of skill, age, wealth, or interest. Some of my pieces are made of recycled materials, like how my Nightcrawler shoes used a recycled pool noodle, and Funtime Foxy used leftover foam scraps and a thrifted corset. Cosplay doesn't have to be expensive. My Professor Chaos cosplay was dollar store foil, ribbon, and foam with a $5 wig, an old necklace, and a cheap fabric remnant that was on clearance. At conventions, a real sense of community is found and valued within the cosplay subculture. For myself, these conventions were where I found my real love of cosplay. I started by watching vlogs of cosplayers attending similar conventions and ones all across the country, and it really piqued my interest. At the first convention I went to, Steel City Con, I re-wore a Halloween costume and went with my family and a friend. We just walked around and enjoyed the atmosphere of the convention, buying from vendors and supporting local artists. While the experience was great, I didn't really feel like a part of the community yet. There were just people shopping. It wasn't really panels or like spaces to really connect about certain media or other things that other conventions would normally have. At first, I found the community more online and through sharing my interests with friends in person. And this led me to learning more about the community along with the values it shares, patterns, and mutually constructs within these communities. So when online, I was able to find people who directly shared my interests within the cosplay world, specific to certain shows and anime that I was interested at the time and that I continued to be interested in. And this was a great way to connect with my former interests and my newfound interest in cosplay, making it more comfortable and easy to get into the community. With this, it was so easy to get involved because it's a very explicit culture. Information and interests are shared through conversations and photographs, and people aren't afraid to ask questions. People are open to share their ideas, their cosplays, what they came up with, and it's pretty much a judgment-free zone. People are able to just share their art and get positive feedback in return and just have those conversations and connections through a simple outfit. Conventions are the primary way for people to connect over cosplay culture in person, and it brings together communities from different fandoms that otherwise wouldn't really interact. This summer, I attended Techo with friends, and it was the first time I spent the whole weekend there. And this came with great economic privilege, as cosplaying for 4 days and having a pass to the convention adds up. Along with getting meals and having stuff to do in the middle of the day, it really just takes a toll on you financially for quite a while. I was lucky that I had spent months saving up money and working on my cosplays in order to get my ticket and have cosplays for the entire weekend. And while some were easy because I had most pieces in my closet already, a few required buying new materials and costume pieces in order to create them to their fullest. So, since the cosplay community is so established by now, many see a financial barrier, while to myself, it's a challenge and a way to be creative with what I have. But for some people, it's a way that makes them feel limited and like they can't really enter the community because they have to instead spend the money to be able to. In the community, people are viewed as equals, and this should be used to help other people. While everyone is different and comes from different interests, backgrounds, and skill levels, it's something that's really embraced by the community. While we were at Techo, there was someone struggling with styling a wig for their cosplay. She saw my group and asked for help as I had a long styled wig on, as did most of my group. And mine was especially styled with braids and ribbons and everything, so she asked me for my help. I was so grateful to be able to be recognized for my work while also being able to help out a fellow cosplayer and sharing my own knowledge. While we were able to make a connection and teach each other about styling wigs while being able to connect on a deeper level despite never having met before, a connection was made over our appearances rather than who we are as people. This gave us an immediate thing to talk and connect about, as I was cosplaying a character from South Park and she was a Sanrio character. And we were able to talk and bond, as the cosplay community is very easy to assimilate into. This happened at the Five Nights at Freddy's photo meet as well, where there were people all cosplaying from the same fandom, and we were able to make connections that way. People were embraced for their cosplays, with people in full handmade outfits like mine, or people in hoodies. People have different interests, ideas, and abilities, but that never gets in the way of participating in the community. The community is adaptable to new ideas, and they're embraced all the time, and that's how people grow and learn within the community. People are welcome regardless of age, skill, body type, gender, or any other demographics that may limit them in someone else's community. It's a sense of togetherness and belonging in the cosplay community that isn't really felt in other communities that I've been in online and in person. People really just embrace each other for who they are and what they can do, and trying to find any way that they can help or learn from each other. While the community is really quick to embrace new people from all different backgrounds, it's still a community that's based on appearances and other nonverbal cues that indicate if someone is worth speaking to, approaching, or even if they've earned being in that cosplay space. As an interest, the whole basis of cosplay is dressing up or taking inspiration from the appearances of a favorite character. In order to do so, one must make their appearance fit both what they expect the character to look like and what others expect. And people create art in order to change their appearance. With that comes judgment and often hate. So while I haven't been the target of this, and I've been lucky, people have been pushed out of the community and bullied for not fitting into the expectations of what a character actually would look like when translated into the physical cosplay space. In Gender Trouble, Judith Butler focuses on the performativity of gender, arguing that gender, as well as our identities as a whole, are conveyed through appearances and the performance that we put on, as well as how others view the accuracy of that performance based on their own expectations. Cosplay in itself is inherently a performance, as is gender. A performance is a metaphorical mask to put on, allowing someone to become a new person based on their appearance. For me, cosplay gives me a level of confidence and extroverted tendencies that I don't have in my daily life, and it allows me to escape and really be seen for my art and my interests. It allows me to feel comfortable approaching new people and talking about different interests we have in common, talking about how each of us made our costumes and props, and really just embracing that space as a social area, as well as being a place to share art and really connect with the community. The cosplay subculture is one based on the informal sharing of information and an openness to embrace new people and ideas. It's a community that I have felt embraced by, as it allowed me to explore different parts of my identity, play with gender and appearances, and to escape into the character I'm dressing as. By being a part of this community, I'm able to use and showcase my different creative skills while always testing myself to learn something new or to teach someone else a skill that I have learned. So some of my favorite memories from this past summer were from cosplaying and creating the cosplays that I have in my arsenal. The cosplay community has embraced me for who I am, and it could do the very same for anyone who's interested. All it takes is a click.